Hey VC, this is Dave in Texas again. I thought I would show some of my most recent finds that I found while going to like pawn shops and Goodwill stores and stuff like that. I found just a variety of things and picked up some stuff that I just thought looked kind of interesting. And so here's what I found. This is a newer band that I'm not real familiar with. It's called the Decemberists presents Picaresque. They are kind of a folk band, I guess, or I don't know, maybe a little bit of progressive band. I got one of their other albums, got glare here, got one of their other albums that I kind of liked, which I forget the title of right now, but thought I'd get this one. And it's okay, but to tell you the truth, I don't like this as much as the other one. It kind of strikes me as being a little bit too pop for my taste. Here's one by P.J. Harvey. I've got some other stuff by her as well. This is It Desire? She's a British rock person or rock star, I guess you could say. And but I like some of her other ones better. This one here, she tries something different. There's a little bit of, it's a little bit slower in the songs, and it's a little bit like some parts of it are kind of electronic or ambient. And it might be good, I just haven't listened to it enough, but I'll continue to listen to it and see how I feel about it. Is This Desire? Here's one I found that's not something I normally listen to. It's Sam Kinison, Live from Hell. And it's just his stand-up comedy routines. This came out in, golly, I don't know, I'm thinking it came out in the 80s or something like that. What does it say? 93. But he has since passed. And it just has like different things on here. Some of the titles I probably won't read, but you know, Miss the Joan Rivers Show, and Captain Kangaroo, and JFK, and 1 Hour War, and well, various subjects that he has put on this thing. And you know, it's actually pretty funny if you like his type humor. Kind of loud and in your face. This is Wires. I think this is their last album. Very minimal cover and back. But Wire were a British kind of post-punk or new wave band. And this one, I don't know, I'm still kind of getting used to it. The first song starts out rather slow and is kind of dark ambient sort of in a way. The second song is a little bit what I'm used to from them, a little bit. So I've just now started listening to this and really haven't quite decided how I feel about it. I grew up listening to singer-songwriter stuff, so there's a couple of things I picked up here recently. You know, I started out listening to stuff like Bob Dylan, and even stuff like John Denver. You know, I still like this album, actually. I still like a lot of these albums, of course. Joni Mitchell, and Gordon Lightfoot. This is his Gordon's Gold, which is his greatest hits album. It's got the wreck of the Edmund Fitzgerald and what is it called? Tuesday Morning Rain. Sundown's on here. Canadian Railroad Trilogy. Early Morning Rain's what I'm thinking of. Yeah. But it's a good album. I still like it. I get in the moods for it. Of course, stuff like Crosby, Stills and Nash, they were real big back in the day, and you know, I still like this album quite a bit. Classic album, really, for me. And listen to stuff like Judy Collins. Who Knows Where the Time Goes. She was real big back in the 60s. It was a really good album. And of course stuff like Leonard Cohen, and here's one you don't hear of much these days. This is Tim Harding's album, Sweet for Susan Moore and Damien. We Are One, One, All One is the title of this. But he was a singer-songwriter back in the late 60s. And I don't know much about this, the history of this album, or much about Tim, but fairly interesting album. So anyway, sometimes when I see stuff in a pawn shop that looks kind of singer-songwriter, I'll pick it up. And here's one I found. Of course, we all know who this is. It's Johnny Cash. I believe this is when he kind of started his first album, when he started like his newer version of Johnny Cash, I guess you could say. This has Delia's Gone and Let the Train Blow the Whistle, and let's see, Bird on a Wire, which was a song Tim Harding wrote, I believe, and quite a few other ones. But it's an interesting direction that Johnny started going in his later life, in his later career. He started working with Rick Rubin's, who did a lot of modern acts too. And I know he did that one song by 9 Inch Nails, which I like quite a bit. Rusty Cage, I believe was the name of it. But yeah, it was pretty different for Johnny Cash. Here's one I picked up from Bela Fleck, Double Time. Bela Fleck plays a banjo, and what these are is duets with various performers that you can see right here. People like Ricky Skaggs, I think, is on here, and yeah, various Mark O'Connor, he plays a duet with him. He plays fiddle. Dave Grishman plays mandolin on one song. Tony Rice plays guitar. Jerry Douglas plays dobro. Mike Marshall plays an octave mandolin. And Johnny Hartford plays a banjo. And various other artists. Ricky Skaggs plays fiddle. And so there are a lot of different musicians on here. And I'm not a huge bluegrass fan. I'll say that. This is on Rounder Records, by the way. But this album is okay. I mean, it's not something I normally listen to, and the range isn't just bluegrass either. I mean, sometimes he'll play like I don't know, like ballad type stuff, and some stuff that gets a little bit jazzy. Bela Fleck also used to be in a band called Bela Fleck and the Flecktones, which was kind of jazz fusion-y in some ways, but he kind of has always this underlying a little bit of bluegrass to it. Maybe that's just from his instrument that he uses, but it's growing on me, so we'll see. Here's one that looked pretty interesting. It's by David Mallet, Parallel Lives. And if you're interested in any of these, this is a live CD by him. I'm not sure where it was recorded, but it's on Flying Fish Records. and I've enjoyed it. Of course, if you want to hear clips to any of these, you can go to Amazon or Spotify or any of those services and listen to a little bit of this. And like I said, it's pretty new to my ears, so I'm still warming up to it, but he has a fairly pleasant voice. And this is one of the singer-songwriter stuff is one of those instances or genres where words do kind of matter, and of course they're the way they sing and phrase their songs, and you know, present themselves. So yeah, I don't know, it's a good album. Here's a one by Bill Morrisey, who also is a singer-songwriter. This is on Philo Records. And to tell you the truth, now this one I'm going to have to like warm up to as well, because when I first put this on, Bill's voice is not how as I was expecting it to be. His voice is higher registered and just different sounding voice, but it's one of those CDs that the more you listen to, you can kind of get into. A lot of songs about the human condition, you know, and about life in general. So been listening to some of that. Here's one I found at a pawn shop, which I'm sure you're probably familiar with the name, Johnny Hartford, No End of Love. This is on a Small Dog, a Barkin. That's the name of the record label. Must be super small. But as you know, Johnny Hartford used to play on the old Glenn Campbell show, and did the song Gentle on My Mind, which is on here. And let's see what else, if you've got anything on here. There's some dialogue that goes on in between these songs, and I think that kind of like takes me out of the moment, or I think it would have worked better maybe if you wanted to do something like that. Now I might like that more as I listen to this more, but the dialogue kind of takes me out of, you know, listening to the music. It might have been better if you just kind of strung them together all in like a long melody or something. But there's dialogue, and he talks a little bit about the songs in between. In between each song will be dialogue. So I don't know. I'll just have to kind of see how this grows on me. And a lot of these do take time to grow on you. I mean, they're all pretty good, and I'll just have to get used to them. But wanted to come in here, come on and show some of the stuff I've been listening to lately, and hope you're enjoying your music. This is David. Talk to you later.